So you want to build a mobile app for your business. It's a great idea. You can get more customer loyalty, you can engage with them on a more regular basis, and you can literally live right there with them. Because, well, think about it. Where do people these days hang out all the time? Well, their phone, of course. Many people think that mobile apps are time consuming, money consuming, they're bloated, they're a headache to do, they're hard because you have to coordinate developers and you gotta make a plan, you gotta waste all this time and money and like $500,000 and 50 developers to make an app. On top of that, you're probably looking at like how to make app videos, right? And you see, you need to know Python, Flutter, Swift, Kotlin, Java, SQL, HTML, JavaScript, React, Firebase, or what to do. Like, and you're probably sitting there thinking, what even is a Python? Like, wasn't a Python like a snake? It's an overwhelming place to be. And that's why today I will break down in an extremely easy and hopefully non-technical way how you can go about building an app for your business. In case you don't know who I am, my name is Bogdan and I just build mobile apps for business owners. I help you move to mobile so you can really fully harness the power of a mobile app. Before you start coding, you start hiring your developer, before you start maybe getting ChatGPT to code your app, before you even start telling anybody about it, you firstly have to be extremely specific in what problem you're solving, what your app will look like, and what features will it add. So what problem you're solving, your app needs to think in terms of how is it useful to somebody, not in terms of how awesome could it be. Because this awesomeness could be just in your mind, or maybe it could be like make everybody say, oh yeah, this is an awesome app. But in reality, nobody wants to buy it, nobody wants to spend money on it, nobody wants to spend more money because of it on your business, and maybe it's so bad that it turns them to your competition. So we gotta be careful about it, right? So we gotta realize that, okay, we're solving a real problem. After that, you need to understand what features you will add for the initial product, because for the first step we need to do something quick, doable, but also high impact. Think about the 80-20 rule, right? Think about let's say for every single feature that you add, you would need to spend $10,000. Even if that's not the case, like it could be even a small feature, maybe, I don't know, a messaging function, and you don't need to spend $10,000 on it. But just think about it, right? If you would have to spend $10,000 on that feature, would your app still be good? Would you still do it? Or if you're not thinking in terms of money, think of it in terms of time. If the app would take one more month to do because of that feature, would you still do it? If the answer is yes, then you most likely need that feature for your app. For example, a task list app, let's say. For a task list app, you definitely need a task list feature, right? To check tasks and add tasks and delete tasks. But you probably don't absolutely need a deep work timer feature. For example, you don't need a brainstorming feature in an app, in a task list app. Then you need to get a rough idea on what it will look like. So the way I do this, I usually pull up a Figma file. Like, wait, I'll open it on my computer. The Figma project is kind of like this. You can see it on the screen right now. So it's pretty much software that lets you design apps. You can make rectangles and colored ones, and you can add shadows, you can add text, you can add buttons, you can add shapes, everything that you want. And I make a quick Figma mockup of the app to see how it will look like, because this, combined with making sure you know exactly what features you're gonna add, speeds up development very much. Now, as you or your team are gonna go and write these apps, make them, you're probably gonna get new ideas in your mind, or you're gonna see areas that are not perfect, areas that might be optimized, or maybe your team tells you, okay, we can optimize this so it runs faster, so it's smoother for the client. I want you to resist them because it's tempting and it feels productive to do these kind of apps, right? To do these kind of improvements because, well, of course, more features, it means it's gonna be better. But it's not the case always because sometimes your idea for your business isn't even good. You know how many times you had an idea for your business, you implemented it, and sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't work, right? And we want to make sure that for your mobile app, if it doesn't work, you're not too deep in. Because the last thing that you want to do is waste a few months coding an app, 6 months coding an app, and spending $50,000 coding a fully finished, fully polished, perfect, optimized app, and for it to flop and for it to not be a good idea for you. We want to stick to those 80-20 features that you have selected earlier when I told you, right? Because otherwise you're gonna end up in this improvement hell and you're gonna say, okay, one more feature, just one more feature, just one more feature, and it's gonna take a long time. And I'm gonna make a video on improvement hell on this channel, so stay tuned for that. Write down your 80-20 features in a V1 document like Notion, Paper, or even Google Sheets, Microsoft Word. Write them down in that document, and then every single improvement slash idea slash feature that isn't necessary for the app, dump them into a v2 file. Because look, for example, I made an app for myself. It was a productivity app, and I had all of these ideas in my mind of what I'm gonna do and how I'm gonna do it. And I went through this process and I collected a full V2 document of that. I spent 63 hours on developing the app myself, and I launched it and nobody loved it, nobody liked it, nobody used it. Okay, it flopped because nobody actually needed that problem solved. It wasn't that much of a painful problem. Now imagine if I hadn't spent 63 hours and instead I had spent 163 hours because I added all those extra features in my V2 file. It would have been 20, 30, maybe even 50% better, but it doesn't matter because 50 times 0.1 is still 5. For the programming language or the technology that you're going to use, you have to figure out if you want to do cross-platform or native. I recommend cross-platform to every single one, every single person who's trying to just start, who's trying to make an MVP, minimum viable product. So cross-platform means that you write the code once and you can make the app for iOS and for Android. But because Android and iOS are different platforms and you need different languages, different technologies to make apps on each one of them. But there are these awesome companies like Flutter, Google or Facebook who made Flutter and React Native. These awesome libraries, these awesome technologies that you can use to write your code once and you can build the app for iOS and for Android with minimal tweaks. I mean, if you write a 5,000 lines of code app, you're probably gonna need to change like 100 lines or something to build on iOS and build on Android as well. You don't need to spend that much time to build the app, and you can also have a larger audience to sell to. Native, on the other hand, is using the actual native elements of that. So for Apple, you're gonna use Swift, which is their like native design language. And for Android, you're gonna use Kotlin, which is again their native thing. The native apps are really good because they look better. Usually, they are faster to use by the user, not faster to develop. But their cons is that they're way more expensive because you pretty much have to make two different apps to make the same app. And if you need online stuff, if you need like over the internet things like an user account, save your users data, save app analytics, then you need also a backend stack. I'd recommend to go with a backend library, which is usually a subscription based solution. So like Firebase makes it, technologies like Firebase makes it much easier to develop, but they cost money. That's obviously a very high overview, like a general view on how to build an app. It's much more complicated than this, and that's why I have this channel. So in this channel, I plan to help business owners understand how to build mobile apps, how to build even software, and how they can build software in a way that makes them more money and saves them time and headaches. If you like that, if you are a business owner and maybe you're looking into getting an app, subscribe to this channel and maybe you're gonna find some valuable information.